online book talk program. And for today's book talk, we have very famous author in leadership subject. His name is Mr. Berwa. I would like to thank Mr. Sudhir Berwa for having kindly agreed to review his newly published book titled The Roaring Lamb, a fable about finding the leader in you, published by HarperCollins. It is this book is becoming very popular on leadership subject. Before I start, I will give you a short introduction of our author, and then there will be a 45-minute talk by the author, and last 15 minutes we will take question and answers. So, Mr. Sudhir Berwa is best-selling author, motivational speaker, strategic advisor, and senior corporate leader. He is the CEO of BMR Innovations, a global management and technology consulting firm with office at Dubai, India, and USA. He was earlier part of senior leadership at Panasonic Corporation, heading the MEA region. His 25 years of work experience includes stints at LG Electronics, Dometic Group, the Hindu, and the Taj Group of hotels in various roles. Mr. Sudhir has delivered keynote speeches on leadership at various famous institutes like IIM Ahmedabad, IIM Visakhapatnam, IIT Delhi, IIT Madras, SP Jain University, American University of Sharjah, and many more. He is a regular contributor to Forbes Middle East on leadership. And his debut book, Movement of Signal, we also did the book talk on the same this book at our library also. And he is a co-founder and director of ambrustrust.org. So this is very short introduction of yourself. So now I request Mr. Sudhir to take over. Sreedhar, sir, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Viral, and thank you, IIM Ahmedabad, to accept this book talk. Today we are going to talk about this book, The Roaring Lambs. I'm Sreedhar Bevara. The introduction has been given. That was a long introduction, in fact, Viral. So we'll straight away jump into this book. But before we jump into the book, what Deepak Chopra told about this book, by the time you finish reading, you can be sure of one thing: identifying the leader within you. And Mark Victor Hansen, who is the co-author of the Chicken Soup for the Soul, has also sent his appreciation that here's a mythical, magical fable to inspire you to lead courageously from the inside out. And the Times of India also said, an exceptional tale of leadership. So this book is talking about the roaring lambs, which will essentially tell us how to find a leader within. How come roaring lamb? This story, before the idea of this story has come 10 years ago. And with an anecdote of Alexander the Great, I am not afraid of an army of lions led by a sheep. I am afraid of an army of sheep led by a lion. This was what told by Alexander the Great 3,000 years ago, the BC. And the meaning of what Alexander said was that leader matters. So he clearly believed even the lambs can be prepared for a war, for a battle. And the idea has been emerged from that Alexander's words. And today we're going to quickly look at what roaring lambs are all about. There have been dozens of reviews on the internet about this book, but I thought it would be great if the author can speak about the book. Roaring Lambs essentially is a story of lambs which helped themselves and which knew how to get the collaboration, the element of collaboration they identified as the finest quality to move forward. As you all know that without collaboration, we cannot move forward. We cannot even think of doing anything. There is no progress without collaboration. You know that. So now we will start about these roaring lambs, what they do. There's a jungle that's in the Mau forest that is set back in the East Africa. And there is a lion called Kaizaar, which was leading the entire jungle. What happens when a leader is great, but the advisor is wrong? So Kaizaar used to be a very, very great leader, but he now has an advisor in the name of Shaka, a lamb. You will understand why the lamb is actually advising the Kaizaar, the king of the jungle, when you read the story. But for now, we will keep it to his wrong advices to the king. Lions are normally great at hunting. They're very patient at hunting. They take sometimes days, sometimes weeks together to plan for the food, for the prey. They normally don't hunt every day. They hunt like twice a month. So when they are hungry, they start planning for their hunt. And they are so very patient, meticulous in getting their prey closer. The lions are very good at the strength, but they are not very good at stamina. Such as, if the prey is within the limit of 30 meters, the burst period, the lions are most likely win the prey. And normally, lions' hit ratio is very, very less, at almost 1 time out of every 4 times they're able to catch their prey. So now the Shaka, the lamb who became the advisor to the Kaizaar, tells the Kaizaar, listen, I am the king of the lambs. And I know the tricks and trade of the lambs, where do they live. So I'm going to give you the address of these lambs so that you could easily get your feed whenever you're hungry. And what is the barter is that you will not touch my family. This is the deal that Shaka has dealt with the Lion King, the Kaizaar. Now the lambs which are left behind without a king, without a leader, now they have to do something which is unimaginable, that is to wage a war with the lion. Do you think lambs can ever wage a war against the lion? Now, in this book, we talk about roaring is not to win the game. Roaring is to defend yourself. An employee, a person who wants to become a leader, because leadership is something that is very, very thankless job. When you do 100 times right, when you do 99 times right, people are not going to question. But one time you go wrong, everybody is going to question your decision making. Now, you choose what you want to and what you want to gain, what you want to achieve. We always keep choosing. So we see what lambs has chosen for their lives. We all must have heard the law of nature, where the balance is the important thing. The law of nature, the key to balance is to maintain the law of nature. Without the balance, the nature will sooner or later show and correct by its own. Now, in this case of lambs, I'll just quickly read a small passage in the first chapter. How do they know exactly where we are, despite our careful planning and tactical positions? One of the lambs prove that we are powerless. Must we believe we are inferior to these meat-eating beasts? I can't. There has to be a way to protect themselves and compel the lions to respect us, and coexistence inherent in the ecosystem. The coexistence is so very important. Many a times leaders, they don't believe in this coexistence. Whether it is jungle, corporate area, or the politics, you take any setting of the life, people do undermine the coexistence, the philosophy of coexistence. In a jungle, if lamb has to exist, lion has to exist, elephant has to exist, different animals, different insects, different life has to exist in the forest so that the eco balance is maintained, the equilibrium is maintained. In this story, the young lamb called Shuja has taken the responsibility of standing for the lambs. Now it has to find who can help him. As I said, the collaboration is so very important in life. Now Shuja has to think of the ways. One, to avoid the lions. Two, if it can't avoid the lions, it has to find a way how to counter the lions. In this case, Shuja has to find who he can or who the lambs can collaborate with. In the kingdom of Kaizaar, now the Kaizaar is very, very smart king, also administered with the powerful advisor Shaka, who is equally cunning. Now the Kaizaar always wanted to choose whoever is the strongest in his animal kingdom. He would order the Shaka to bring them to the kingdom and make them a small minister, give them some trump post, so that there is no oppression in his own kingdom. This is one of the ways that cunning leaders, the wrong leaders choose. They always take the stronger on their behalf so that they can do the atrocities in whichever the field they are in. Now, in this process, they find a young lion called Kisan, who is very strong, who is very, very masculine, who could become the king of the jungle in future. Now, the Shaka has advised, listen, there is a king out in the outskirts. There is a lion in the outskirts who is very, very strong, who is going to become a counterpart to you sooner or later. Now, Kaizaar orders the Shaka to bring him into the ministry and make him a minister so that he does not have the opposition. When there is no opposition, that kingdom is going to be in the mess because the oppressed will not be taken care. In this sagacious story, now the Shaka goes to the Kisan. Kisan is our hero. He's the protagonist. He's the young lion. He went to the Kisan. He said, the king wanted to see you and he wanted to offer you to be in his ministry. Kisan, for a minute, thinks, this is a good chance because I always wanted King Kaizaar to understand the lion has to hunt and earn the prey. It cannot depend on somebody for the food. And if you are not hunting today, your skill, your technique, your everything will be disappeared soon because your skill is coming based on your practice. For now, it is okay, but the next generation will become much more weaker. So this is a good chance for me to be in his kingdom as a minister. And I can tell him that, please, this is not the right way. We have to earn our food only by hunting, not by means of robbing through some help like Shaka. So Kisan agrees to be part of Lion Kingdom. Kisan goes, which means there is nobody else in the kingdom that who could protest or who could become an opponent to the King Kaizaar. That was the plan of Kaizaar. So Kisan went into the kingdom. He keeps requesting the king that this is not the way that we live. Now, king has a wife called Queen Leela, also in opinion, in agreement with the king Kisan, the young lion Kisan, that the lion must live like a lion. This is a very, very bad idea to depend on Shaka to get the lambs. Just go, and a lion does not go from behind and hit. A lion always attacks. So this is not a very lion thing. That is what Queen Leela even thinks. Now, on the other hand, what is happening is the lambs are being diminished because the lions at will they are hunting because Shaka is always telling the secrets of where lambs are living. Now, lambs have a good advisor in the form of Akili, a bear, a very wise bear, old bear, that who is holding the entire lambs legion, that please wait because there will be a time that we have to put up a wall. A young lamb called Shuja wanted to raise to the occasion. It has a backdrop. You will understand when you read the book why Shuja is always getting ahead, taking the important role of a leadership. Leadership is something that it is not given to anybody. People who think that something is not right, people who can take the initiative, go forward, those people become leaders. And leading is never given. It is not by the position, it is not by the title, it is by the intention of the person, intention of the subject. That is how people are called as leaders. It doesn't matter whether you're a sanitary man or whether you are a CEO of the company or any position that people can claim. You become a leader when you take responsible actions. I talked in the beginning about choosing and taking actions. We take a choice and then we take an action. When you take a choice, it is your choice to do something or to not do something. And accordingly, you act upon. Now, Kaizaar one day finally decides this is enough. Kaizaar tried all means. It did not leave negotiating. It did not leave the backdoor diplomacy. It did not leave requesting in the kingdom darbar. And finally, it said, "This is the time. O mighty king, this is not the way that we live. We must get back to our natural instincts. We just be the real lions, not this." Now, Shaka is afraid because if Shaka is allowing this to happen, that means Shaka's family is in trouble. Shaka is supposed to be the king of the lambs, but taking the refugee in the kingdom of the lions. Now, Shaka says, this is treason. This is against kingdom. Hence, it will be punished by kicking out the Kaizaar from the kingdom. Now, Kaizaar has been badly wounded. All the lions attack the Kaizaar and then they throw him out of the jungle. Now, Kaizaar is slowly limping, walking out. And on the other part of the lambs, the Shuja was trying, what is the core reason for the attacks happening? Normally in the jungle, most of the hunting that takes place nearby the water areas. So in this case, we have River Mara, which is a very, very famous river in the East Africa. So by the side of the River Mara, these things are happening. So Shuja thinks we must find another stream of water so that we can avoid these lions. Water is a scarcity, as you know, that it's a resource. So Shuja, the young lamb's father, great Raka, always thought about this. And in fact, Raka was the one who defended against the Kaizaar. Story reveals Kaizaar kills Raka, and Raka's son is the Shuja, the young lamb. This secret was only known to the Akili, the bear. And in the middle of all this is happening, Shuja, now with his own confident aides, started looking for different other water sources. And that was the time the limping lion Kaizaar was walking, and there's a bit of an encounter. And in this encounter, lion Kaizaar was found fainted to the lambs. So lambs convince the young Kaizaar and then bring Kaizaar to the area of lambs. Now, the lambs section who wanted to become the leader, there's a guy called Fursa, the ugly dark lamb who's the younger brother of Shaka, who is with the king, who wants to become the king of the lambs. But lambs did not ever believe the Fursa, because Fursa was always putting his own priority, his own selfish gains ahead of his team. A leader becomes greater when that leader recognizes his team, puts his team ahead of them, and then make sure the entire ecosystem flourishes, prospers. That's why Fursa's ideas of becoming Lamb King was never possible. And in the meantime, Fursa defends that we should not, shelter a lion, because a lion is our enemy. It is going to kill us. But young Shuja convinces that this lion is wounded. It is not in a position to attack us. Once it gets all right, it can go back. Now, Kison slowly starts recovering. There is a bit of a drama in the story that how the lambs started believing the Kison. Kison then starts training their minds because Kison cannot teach anything to lamb. Lamb itself, on contrary to many beliefs, lamb is actually a wise animal. I have researched that lambs are wise animals, unlike what we read about lambs. So Kison decides that we need to train the mind, not the body. And he tells that there is a way that we can defend ourselves. Now, Kison keeps training the minds of the lambs, orienting them that there is a way that they can avoid this counter with the lions. So finally, Kison decides two things. One, negotiate. Two, defend. Roaring is not to win. Roaring is to defend yourself, defend your priorities, defend your rights. It doesn't have to be a lion. It doesn't have to be a lamb. You can be anybody, but you have to defend your own identity. And in that process, if you shout out, that becomes a roaring. Now, Kison sends as a first option to negotiate, but the negotiation fails, and hence Kison decides to combine all the forces. Collaboration is greater when between the unlikely forces, not between the likely forces. So Kison decides to bring everybody together so that they can defend with tactical war of this jungle against the lions. The lion, when it gets hungry, it hunts. So Kison, being a lion, it does know the tricks and trade of the lion, how it hunts, what are the tricks that lion deploys when it is hunting. So now Kison, while it is training the lambs, decides to use all those techniques that it knows as a lion. Now, in the end, Kison found a way how to stop this war, which I would recommend rather to read this book, which has been published by HarperCollins. And good news is that this book is now touted to become a movie. I have not deliberately revealed a lot of twists because I didn't want to do the spoilers. I would recommend rather read this book and get thrilled with how the group of lambs have waged the war against lions. For now, I will pause here. I will take rather some questions from our attendees. I think that way we can make it a little more interesting, this conversation. Over to you, Viral.
Yes, sir. Very interesting story. That's why how leader become a great leader become, I would say. So there are 21 participants. So I would like to ask some questions from attendees, if there is.
Please.
So, sir, how you become means how this story come to your mind? Means how you inspired to write this book, and tell me about the backstory of this book.
This one, Alexander once said that he is afraid of a group of lambs led by a lion, but he's not afraid of a group of lions led by a lamb. Leader actually infuses the belief of achieving something against all the odds. If you have seen the history, all those men have achieved is just because they believe. Today we are flying, and could you just ever believe that we could fly? Somebody believed, somebody worked for it, somebody made it possible. So these kind of unimaginable things happen only with the inspiration of the leader, the vision of the leader, the goal of the leader, the plan of the leader. And then he sets the entire team, he channels the energy, and then makes them walk to that goal moment. Sometimes you achieve the goal, sometimes you don't. When you do not, you continue to progress, trying more. When you do, then you look for other destinations. So that was the idea how I wanted the lamps to roar.
Right, sir. Thank you so much. Let's take another question if it is there. I request participant to raise their question through chat message. So, sir, please tell us regarding your previous book, Moment of Signal. So, participants come to know means how you have wrote the first book and then the second one.
Moment of Signal, I was fortunate that we did a physical session in Ahmedabad, IIMA Ahmedabad. That book mostly talks about values, the definition of success. The definition of success is not necessarily, the most self-help books assume same things. Most people think that most self-help books assume the same thing. But it's not about end goal, it's not about result, it's not about the ultimate thing. It is always about process. The better you are at the process, the greater the result will be. So moment of signal is always helping people how to focus on the process part. The moment you feel that your process is good, that means you are very much closer to whatever you are desiring to reach. So that's what moment of signal. And it also talks about two things: the choice and action. You are constantly making choices, whether you know it or don't know it, whether you like it or not like it. So it is better you choose what you want to do, so that the difficulty of going through that way becomes a little bearable and easy, because it will be always painful to go to the success part, because many people do not even see that.
Okay.
So moment of signal ponders more on that part.
Thank you, sir. Sir, one question from Dr. Mangla Chauhan. He or she said that it's unique concept, sir. Why you based your story on the environment of East Africa? I appreciate the minute detail of your story. Mara River in East Africa Act, etc. So, why your story is based on the environment of East Africa?
No, ever from we are young, we are children, we always read stories of African jungle. So as we are very young, I always I read some stories which are of African jungles. So it is just a coincidence that I had traveled a lot into Africa. I had also gone to these few places that I have mentioned in the book. So I thought maybe it's a good idea that we take the setup of Africa. And also our story becomes much more universal if you take an African jungle to reach more wider audience. And that was the original idea of taking the East African jungle.
Okay. Sir, any other thing you want to say about the same with the roaring lamps? Another
Roaring lamps is something that one should never underestimate others. One should never underestimate their own selves. So the roaring lamps teaches this main philosophy. The lions underestimated lambs. Lambs underestimated themselves, which means lions overestimated themselves. Lion by size, by strength, by power, by sheer presence, it always became the king of the jungle. There is a reason why lion became the king of the jungle. But that does not mean a lion should not think nobody else should be alive. Jungle setup, for example, in a country, a rich person must be there, poor person must be there. In a company, CEO must be there, attendant must be there, boy must be there, clerk must be there, typist must be there. Everybody is very important to run the entire cycle of the company. If CEO thinks I'm the only person, then he's alone in the office. He can do nothing. He needs to have salespeople. He needs to have finance people. He needs to have many different people of different skill, different strengths. So this essentially talks about when you combine different strengths, then there is a team. In the jungle, a lion cannot exist if the other animals are not there. Similarly, lambs cannot exist if lions are not there. We all know the story. If nobody is killing poultry, if you do not kill a mouse, if some snakes are killing mouse, every creature, every animal has to be eaten by something else. It defends, it gets eaten. This is the chain of the food in a jungle, for example. If nature is not doing its own job, the population of different things will dramatically grow. So nature has its own setup. It contains carefully so that nothing is growing, nothing is diminished. Why we are today trying to save the tigers. Today we are counting the tigers. And one of the reports recently said, I think India has got more tigers, which is about a couple of hundred. So in future, we are going to talk about there used to be lions, there used to be lambs, but the nature does not work like that. Nature has to have all these elements so that the equilibrium takes place. So one should never underestimate other person. One should never underestimate their own selves. You are capable of doing anything and everything as long as you are putting your energies into your channel. But sometimes we need somebody to tell us this is the way, or we need some capacity to take the signal from around the environment that, okay, this is how I have to survive. Survivor always goes through a lot of experiences. You cannot survive if you do not go through experiences. So more the experiences, you become a better survivor. So Roaring Lamps talks about how to survive in a place where you are a stranger, where you are weak. For example, Mr. Viral joins Harvard University's library tomorrow. Mr. Viral must understand who are the forces there, what is the situation there, what is the environment there. He will suddenly become a novice there, start learning everything. But you are a leader elsewhere. In IIMA Ahmedabad, for example, you are leader, you know what to do in the library, for example. So you quickly adapt. You are not smaller, but within no time, you become stronger there. Why Mr. Shrikant Datar today, the Dean of Harvard Business, the School of Harvard, Shrikant Datar happens to be IIM Ahmedabad alumni. Today he's the Dean there. It is a pride news, but he didn't become just like that. He did a lot of things. He has grown to the ladder there. So there is no reason for someone to undermine and underestimate oneself. That is what Roaring Lamps talk about.
Great, sir. One more comment came, like your idea of coexistence, collaboration that you had mentioned in your book. Looking forward to read your book. Thank you for interacting leadership concept with such a unique and interesting story. As an avid reader, this is a must-read book, I thought. It is commented by Dr. Mangala Chauhan.
Thank you, Doctor. That's very, very kind of you to say that. So if there is no more question, probably we can further dig one of the lines.
Yeah, please, sir. Because there are.
I think people are in the mode of listening more.
Exactly.
They're not asking
There are
anything.
few questions that we have already taken. So
Yeah.
please go ahead for more notes on your book.
In one of the chapters of this book, the father tells the Shuza that, remember, being a leader is a thankless job. It's all about giving, caring, sharing, and sacrificing. More than anything, it is a choice that you have taken. It is up to you whether you want to be a leader until this moment or until that moment. In this, the father tells the young lamb, Great Raka talks about the young lamb. The leadership it's not a permanent thing. A situation makes somebody a leader. An opportunity makes somebody a leader. So when you take that opportunity, when you decide yourself that to put into the center of that event, then you automatically assume that leadership. And when you become successful in that small instance, you are encouraged to do more such things. People look up to you, but you're not doing something just because people are looking up to you. You are doing something because that is your choice to do those things. And I mentioned about values. There are different values. What is the right value? Different cultures have different values. What is the right value? For a leader, I was mentioning in one part of this book that a leader does not deny the chances and opportunities of others. Leader always shows there is a vision that not many people could see. And then the leader encourages the team, the members, the whoever is following, that there is a way, there is a better way for us to go there. You become a good leader when your own goal, the result of your own goal has more benefit to many people. If the benefit is only for you, the leader, then you cannot call yourself leader, and there is no common objective. When people own your own objective, that is when the leader becomes really excelling, greater at doing the things. So those are a few things that the Roaring Lambs vividly talk about in the form of a fable. We all love Chinnaya Suri, the Vishnu Sharma's Panchatantra. So this is something similar to those lines. Yes, Mr. Viral.
Yes, sir. So very interesting, sir. I think you have covered all the points except the last drama of this book. So we are
Yeah.
eagerly waiting for the movie also. I hope.
Yes, the HarperCollins right now is making a contact to some of the production houses. HarperCollins and I believe that this story is something similar in the lines of Lion King, The Jungle Book. It is quite exciting that this story one day will turn into celluloid. Hopefully that day will come soon so that we all could watch this movie in the theaters.
Yeah, sir. We are waiting for that.
Thank you.
I think we cover most of the question which asked by our attendees or part. So you would like to share the journey when you are going through this book, if there are any incident while writing the book.
Yes. I think, see, today with this opportunity, I would like to focus on a couple more things which are part of this book. There are two sections of the people. The first section is they think they're very special, so that they should get special treatment. For them, everybody else is inferior. The second set of people, they think they are the poorest, they are victims. Everybody else has got the benefit. They do not get. Both the sections want special attention. That's what both the sections want. Now, whether you trumpet yourself or whether you victimize yourself, in the end, please believe, not just Sreedhar is saying or anybody saying, believe you me, that it is you who has to help yourself. There is nobody who's going to come and help. Even the lambs, they found a way, they found some help, they found some collaboration force so that they could survive. See, lambs are fighting here for survival. We all are fighting here for survival. We all are. A CEO is fighting his own survival. An employee is fighting his own survival. Everybody has to fight for the survival. And in that process, we have to find who are our allies, who can share our vision. It is only then we can move forward. So this is something very, very critical for us to choose what is important for us and make believe your surroundings that it is important for them as well. This is one thing. Second thing is, even this I mentioned in our physical meeting there. For all your dreams, for all your passion, for all your emotion, it is your body that is very, very important. The unique most thing on this earth, the magnificent machine on this earth is your body. We have to protect this body so very meticulously. If you do not have your body in place, in operational place, where is the place for your dream? You have to have your body in shape. In the shape, when I said in shape means it's not a shape of V. No. What is genetic? For example, something, so you're born with some disability, born with some problem, born with some challenge. That is something we cannot challenge. But in a given day, are we doing something to protect this precious thing called body? So that my dream, my mission, my vision, whatever I want to do for my family, for myself, or for the people, first of all, you have to be there. You have to be in that body. Your dream exists in that body. Protect the body. Give time to your body. Do not ever underestimate your health. Health can go just like that. So in a day, if you think that you're giving at least half an hour to 1 hour to, to preserve this body, because at the age of 60, at the age of 80, your body still has to be functional. Otherwise, your wealth has no meaning. Steve Jobs could not save himself. That is a condition. But some people died. Michael Jackson has died of drug abuse. He didn't have to die. His wealth did not save him. So in the case of Steve Jobs, it is not his mistake. It is cancer that killed him. In the case of Michael Jackson, who is equally a wealthy man, is a popular man, but he died because of drug substance, the abuse of drug. If you do not keep yourself well in that body, your mission, your vision, your passion, your ambition has no meaning. The more you are, the more help you can give to your family. So prioritize everything, but you have to also prioritize your body. Without prioritizing your body, you cannot think of doing or achieving your own vision, your own mission, your own goals. Please pay attention to your body. Give some time to your body in each day. Do not find excuses not to give some time to your body. Only then you can say, I did my best, I did my bit to my body, and now I will do something for my livelihood. So please do take this small, it's not an advice, it is very important. You have to.
Exactly, sir. It is very important now due to this pandemic and all, due to the pollution, we have to keep our body fit. So then we can think about our goal and achievement. We can think another part. So, sir, I think you cover most of the part of your book,
Thank
and
you.
all the attendees have raised their questions. You answered it in very detailed way. So, on behalf of librarian and Indian Institute of Management, we thank you so much for sharing your valuable time, reviewing this book, and we wish your book become bestseller. It's already bestseller,
It
and
is, it is, it is.
and we are expecting a movie also.
Thank you so much.
So once again, sir, thank you so much for accepting our invitation, giving a time for our book talk series. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Viral. It is our pleasure. And please, anybody has, today they may not be able to ask questions for whatever reasons. They can always reach me out through my social media, LinkedIn or Twitter or Instagram. I'll be very happy to do whatever the little help that I could. Thank you so much once again, Mr. Viral. And thank you, Professor Mr. D'Souza. I miss meeting him. So please convey my regards and respects.
Sure, sir. So with this note, shall we end this session? And we will.
Please get your copy, everybody, whoever is here in this.
Sure, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Grab.
Pleasure,
I'll
sir.
take your place. Thank you.
So I'm leaving this session.
Yeah.
We will close this session.
Thank you.